Hey, it's author and attorney Kelly O'Connell with Knockout Radio, delivering one gut punch message after another in these troubled times. And today's message is about Kamala Harris and how just stuck she is right now, and how the party is freaking out over her future. Now, a little bit of news. Trump has said he's decided if he's going to run in 2024. No comment on whether he's going to, but he said it with a smile on his face. What do you think? I think he's going to run. I have no doubt he's going to run, and why wouldn't he when there is a lot of struggles in the current administration, and his policies have been proven to be largely correct. Consider on the border, it's up 150%. It's up times 4, but it's up 150,000 or more entries per month and across the border, and so you can't say that he was wrong in how he did things. So anyway, stay tuned. And for your weird news, rattlesnakes everywhere, the odd consequences of California's drought coming out of the Guardian, UK Guardian, and snakes and other animals like bears leaving the wilderness and going into civilization to look for food and water, but especially everywhere you look, there's snakes. And a guy named Len Ramirez with the Ramirez rattlesnake removal said he's been doing this job for 40 years. He's never seen anything like it. They're everywhere, backyards, and on front porches and potted plants and children's play equipment. He says, I'm busier than I have ever been. Complaints are coming in from all over the state. All right, this is a sad one, but kind of dumb. Man dies after walking headfirst into parked Snapple delivery truck in Manhattan, and that's June 1st. And in Hell's Kitchen, a guy walked headfirst into a parked Snapple delivery truck, bounced off, hit his head on the pavement as he fell, and he was dead within hours. David Piette is about 8 o'clock, witnesses said, and I'm just going to guess here. How do you walk into a vehicle on the street? You're texting, or you're reading your phone, and the truck wasn't moving, and so anyway, he was moving pretty fast too, so they couldn't save him. Another piece of weird news: Bill Gates hosted nude pool parties and, quote, got drunk pretty easily, say insiders. And Bill Gates, the troubled nerd of Washington, the world's greatest businessman, before his neighbor, the owner of Amazon, showed up, Jeffrey Bezos, he loved getting a little crazy. And he went to Seattle's all-nude strip clubs and invited these girls to come home and swim in his pool. And he and his wife are now getting divorced. But in the 80s and 90s, he kept a clean reputation in the media. But really, he was partying hard. And when he wasn't working 17-hour days at Microsoft, he invited friends and dancers from a local all-nude nightclubs to swim naked in his Laurelhurst bachelor pad overlooking Lake Washington. Quote, Gates himself rounded up the girls and brought them over there. I don't know if he physically transported them or if he just told them where to show up. And so he drank, and he got drunk pretty easily. And so that's kind of crazy. All right, so today's message. In today's message, wrote an article for Canada Free Press. It's up, and the message is Dem Civil War, Fukushima, Kamala glows as Democrats fight for survival, and it's a devil's bargain. Distempered Kamala irradiates an already disease-wasted party. And, really, if you think about it, pardon me, Kamala seems like she's not really interested in the job. She's interested in the position, but not the job. She waited to go to the border until Trump announced his border trip. And they went and flew into El Paso, which is right down the street. And El Paso is not the area where all these people are crossing the border because we have a pretty good wall around here. But it's a voyage of the damn, folks. And there is a lot of chaos in her office, according to a big report from Yahoo News. But, you know, after the Democrats were thrilled to win and Biden was declared president, after these rum-soaked celebrations, their heads cleared and doubts immediately arose. In already plague-infested times, they should have declined to sell their soul for a quick and dirty victory. But driven by the hated Trump, the specter of Trump, they decided to go for broke and put together a ticket which could win, but was just DOA, dead on arrival. Joe Biden can't even tie his shoes without having notes, and Kamala just doesn't really seem interested and doesn't seem to have the gravitas. So by drafting the aged, infirm, and preposterously unserious to gain back the levels of power, hic incipit pestis, the Dems' oozing terminal illness is exposed. Satan now whacks the White House doors demanding his pound of flesh, and as Shakespeare wrote, if there were a sympathy in choice, war, death, or sickness did lay siege to it, making it momentary as a sound, swift as a shadow, short as any dream, brief as the lightning in the collied night, that in a spleen unfolds both heaven and earth, and ere a man hath power to say, behold, the jaws of darkness do devour it up. So quick bright things come to confusion, and this bright new administration is falling apart. It's rupturing at the seams. So, you know, when you nominate the lame and infirm, you realize that our president, Joe Biden, isn't fit to be a Waffle House greeter. But where's number two? Where's your backup quarterback? Imagine having a 70-year-old quarterback and your backup quarterback has never actually thrown the ball before. Their free will choice of political posture, Kamala, one of the great mistakes of modern politics. And so a political teacup poodle, Kamala carries all the gravitas of a junior high school cheerleader, whereas the best part is Democrats know they've committed a Democrat capital offense and therefore signed up for political suicide with two top leaders incapable of action and no obvious master plans or backup plans. Dems must now offer a spectacle and pay for their sins by public expiation, a public humbling at the ballot box. Now, is Kamala a Titanic carrying liberals to the ocean's bottom? Well, is any American really pleased with the new VP besides herself? A war is raging in the Democratic Party over Harris's unfitness for higher office. But can the unbearable lightness of Kamala be trained? Folks, isn't that like asking an unskilled Army draftee who just got into the Corps to learn anatomy during battlefield surgery? Or can Harris be embarrassed into resigning? Her appointment to head the catastrophic border crisis was all about forcing her to woman up and lead or be outed. Now she has failed spectacularly. Everything she does gets more criticism than if she hadn't done it. So deafening demands for the aged coquette to resign now bounce off DC's walls, its power centers. And she covers her ears looking around, trembling wide-eyed like the fawn in Bambi meets Godzilla. When we hear Vice President Harris talk on the border, it sounds like a crack-addled Mr. Rogers warning kids about drugs. But Kamala must be sacrificed according to insiders. Like a one-legged kicker, the vice president's status is untenable, her future presidency unsurvivable. It's obvious Harris must be dumped for the party to have a prayer. But how is it all going to play out? A long article in Yahoo describes agonizing details of Kamala's office in Sturm und Drang chaos. Now, will she pretend to be ill? Will she be put into another position? Can she just resign without explanation? How would that look for proponents of race and gender politics? Here's a little snippet from that article that I mentioned. In interviews, 22 current and former vice presidential aides, administration officials, and associates of Harris and Biden described a tense and at times dour office atmosphere, an insular environment where ideas are ignored or met with harsh dismissals and decisions are dragged out. Often, they say, Kamala refuses to take responsibility for delicate issues and blames staffers for the negative results that ensue. The VP herself bears responsibility for the way her office is run. Quote, "It all starts at the top," says one administration official who had to have anonymity to talk about it. "People are thrown under the bus from the very top. There are short fuses, and it's an abusive environment," said another person who knows about the office. Quote, "It's not a healthy environment, and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like shit. Turn of the shrew." Well, you know that French Revolution-style Democrats foisted themselves on their own petard and are now pondering the feel of the guillotine. After all, in leftist revolutions, the early rebels are always killed off, and so it will be for Kamala. Consider the Democrats' Billy Budd, the famous novel by Herman Melville, of the lovable young shipmate who ends up making a terrible decision. He's defending himself. He punches somebody. That person dies. He was criticized, confronted, court-martialed, and obliterated. This time by Pelosi, though. She's got to go after Kamala. Bon voyage, giggling, ill-suited VP. So anyway, my thoughts. I don't see how Kamala can make it because she doesn't even seem like she's trying. She's in over her head. She's scared. Her previous experience hasn't really prepared her for this. So what do you think? I'd be curious to know. And keeping this one today short. So hope you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you tomorrow. Kelly O'Connell, Knockout Radio. Ciao.